We're all here. Might as well start. We're all here. Might as well start. How y'all doing? We're telling your followers that you started a live video. What's up, tough SH1? Hi, Sienna. Yusef, Kessa, Jade, Afterglow, Magoo, Gabriella, Marvella, Brown Sugar, hey girl or guy, Brown Sugar Melanin, JB, Rachel Cutie, Cornelia. Thank you, Brown Sugar. I'm glad you like it because I want to quit every day. Anyway, guys, in 6 minutes, go over to my YouTube Live. YouTube.com/Jackie Fabulous. And 2 hours. And I've had an inappropriate amount of high caffeine coffee. So I'm going to do these two shows. And then I want to probably go for a jog at midnight. The first one is going to be me talking to the booker and the owner of the Comedy Cellar. What I read on Wikipedia is the most popular club in the world. They said the world. And a club that I've been a paid regular at for a relatively short period of time. Probably 3 years now. I remember it's been a while, but I moved back. So yeah, probably about 3 years. I'm gonna look up the email, see the exact time. And if you want to be a comedian, if you love comedy, you love comedians, if you want to know if you are a professional comedian and want to get to the next level, want to see what it takes to get into that club, or you want to hear the history, you just love laughing and you want to hear about how this club came to be. You just want to look at my gigantic face, get to know some New York history, any reason. And then after that, Married Dudes Part 4, I have Alex Thomas, Justin Wade, Monroe Martin, and Mike E. Winfield, all four professional, successful comedians, all happily married. I know everybody I've had on the show so far has been happily married. Where they do that at? Preacher, what's up, baby? How's it going? Who's the GOAT? You? You are. If we're talking about vegans, you are the greatest vegan of all time. With abs. With amazing abs. How old are you now? Are you almost 30? I feel like you've been 21 or 23 or 25. No, you're 28. You age slowly. Men be like, they take 5 years to get to 30, where I've been 30 3 times. Miss Angie Photography. Tosca, what it do? Luke Schaefer. I'm live, I think, on YouTube right now. I just haven't started my Zoom, so maybe people on YouTube can see me now. But you're awesome. You're awesome. Footwear 17. What's going on, baby? Go to my youtube.com. I'm glowing. Oh my God. It's because I have all this Fenty shit on. Fenty sell every highlighter. And it goes to waste. I never realized when I do my makeup and I'm all glittering and blush and highlighter and all this accent and whatever. And then I put on a mask, which is a waste of effort. YouTube.com/Jackie Fabulous. Or you can go to YouTube and look up Jackie Fabulous. Link in my Instagram bio will take you right to my YouTube page. Luke Schaefer, what's up, baby? Zen to Doc. You know, Bridgeport Stress Factory just called me to come do next weekend, but I'm going to be with Russell Peters in Chicago at the Chicago Improv. Otherwise, I'd have been there. And they're trying to give me an alternative day because I couldn't do the dates they gave me. So keep a lookout. I'm coming back to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Fenty is fab. Thank you, baby. And they're always putting out a new highlighter or blush. They know what they're doing. Taking all this pandemic money that I ain't got. Style your threads. Hey, baby. It's my life. It's now or never. I gotta live. See, this coffee. This is Starbucks. It's called Starbucks 2 times, which means it has twice the caffeine of normal coffee. And I'm drinking it now at 8 p.m. So I'm going to be going to sleep at around noon tomorrow. Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know. Who they vote for? Were they a Trump state? I got an attitude with all these states. And, you know, I'm like, do I want to go back on this red state tour? White supremacy and all that crap? Because if you can see me, I'm not the audience. Growling. Put my dookie chains inside. Boston. Whoo, that sounds like Trump territory. How did Boston do? I feel like they would be a Trump state. I love you. It's my life. Maybe love you're a Jamaican. I can't do the Jamaican accent without making a weird face because I'm not really good at it. Oops, I just spit out. Alex Thomas. Let's see what. God, I gotta see what he says. I gotta read his text. All right, let me log off, guys. What did he say? Does he know he's on at 9? Anyway, go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/JackieFabulous, or the link in my Instagram bio, and go watch 2 hours of me and amazing guests, all of whom I look up to. And then go to Zooming with the Homies, Tahir's page at 10. Put your underwear on, or won't put it on. Get a glass of everything and stay on YouTube for the next 3 hours. Okay? Love you. I did email you the link. Let me know if you got it. And thank you. I had fun. Yay!
Hi. How are you?
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good.
Where are you? I want to see your face.
Why can't I see it?
I see Joe Adoram.
Yeah, that's my grandson. They didn't
Okay.
change it.
Oh no, I emailed the wrong person. I don't remember who I emailed about this. Take your time. We're here. Noam,
I'm
how
here.
are you?
I'm okay, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good. You sure? You're rubbing your face like you're not okay.
I had a long day. Essie, you got to unmute your video.
1 second.
Take your time. How are you feeling? Are you sleeping, Noam? What's going on? Are you getting rest?
Yeah. Well, hold on, my son's here. Yes, sir.
I just came down.
1 second.
Take your time. Esther, you okay?
Yeah, I can't.
Just click on it says start video. Or maybe, let me see if I can help at all.
Usually it opens up. I have share screen. Would that do?
I don't know. Ask to start video. I sent that to you. Who's that little boy, Noam? Who is that?
That's my son, Manny.
You have a son? You have offspring?
I have 2 sons and a daughter.
Oh my God, you procreate? Hi.
No, he also has a third son.
And I have a 26-year-old too, yeah.
Ah, wow. What's your name?
I'm talking to you.
Manny.
Manny, how are you, Manny?
Well, that's my nickname. My real name is Emmanuel, but I like when people call me Manny.
Yes, sir. Then I'm gonna do what you tell me to do because you're the boss.
Easy.
Are you funny, Manny?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
But if you don't know, it means you're not.
Don't listen to your father. He's a really harsh critic. You know, he worked with comedians, right? You know what he does for a living?
Yeah. And
And you
he's
don't.
And he's funny.
Oh, here it is. But this.
Okay, here comes Essie.
There she is.
Okay.
All right. There's a horse making some noise. Whose dog is that?
My dog. Tony.
Is that how big is that dog? It sounds enormous.
No,
No?
he just pretends to be.
Okay. And you're familiar with that.
Yeah,
Animals will pretend to be bigger than they actually are.
the great pretenders.
Yes.
So
How are you
what's
guys?
happening?
How are you guys doing? Are we sleeping? Are we getting enough nutrients? Are we sad? Are we happy? How are you feeling these days?
I'll let Essie handle that.
Okay.
Essie's been through a lot. She's had a terrible lockdown. She broke her wrist.
Had surgery.
Surgery. She's
I'm
sick.
living in New Jersey.
And you're smiling now. Are you okay? Are you healed or you're not healed yet?
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
Look at that. You see, these things happen when you have the time to lay down and heal. That there's the blessing in all that.
No, it's fine. It's
It
fine.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you guys post elections?
You know what? I'm just starting to sleep again like a normal person because I'm not gonna lie, I did not sleep last week. Probably 2 hours a night. I would go to bed CNN, wake up CNN. I never used to care about this stuff.
Well, that's what will keep you up. Why are you tuning to CNN?
Because I don't want to watch anything else. This has never happened to me before, Esty. I actually care.
Well, if you care, then find other venues, not CNN.
Oh, we don't like CNN? What do you say?
No, I don't. No,
MSNBC? MSNBC? How about them?
No.
Who are you watching then?
There's others.
There are?
News.
Oh, I guess so.
If you want to listen to both sides, if you pick one side, you know?
Yeah, but you know, I'm a black woman. I feel like I only want to hear one side. Yeah.
The right side, huh?
You are.
No, I didn't say the right side. No, don't start a fight.
You are in denial then.
Or well, actually, I do believe it's the right side. Anyway, you're not gonna make this is not gonna be politics, Noam. Don't you hijack?
Oh, no, I'm okay.
How long? I want to know, both of you. Noam, how long have you been?
Are you recording already?
Yes, we're on YouTube Live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were just getting okay. Hi, Jackie.
Now you're like, oh, this is real. Yeah, and you may not see a lot of viewers now, but thousands by the time we end, and then tomorrow. So a lot of people watch this. Noam, how long have you been the owner of the comedy club?
Well, I guess technically since my father died. What year was that? SE 2004, right?
My God.
The end of 2003. He died in December of 2003, so 2004 is when.
Yeah.
And you've been the owner, and you're the owner of everything with the word "the Comedy Cellar" attached to it, correct?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware? Like sometimes people are in something and they don't really. Are you aware of the monument that you own? Like, do you know the mystique and the love this place? Do you understand where? Because when I looked it up on Wikipedia, the last sentence online said the most popular or the best comedy club in the world. The world.
Well, if Wikipedia says it, maybe I wrote it. No, I didn't write it, but I mean, I guess I'm aware of it. I find I don't take it that seriously. I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm aware of it. I don't know. Esty, what do you think?
Well, just going by the feedback that I get from people, but then I don't know how much I trust that.
Why?
But, look, I think we're doing well just by the love that we get from the comics and the audiences that come.
How long? Okay, let me explain. Noam is the owner of the Comedy Cellar,
Right.
and Esty, you have been. Do you have an official title? We all call you what we want to call you. What is your? Do you have an actual job title?
The Booker.
The Booker. And how long have you been the Booker of the club?
Well, I am with the club now 38 years.
Wow.
And majority of the time I was been booking it for, I would say, 35 maybe.
And how did this happen? How did this club come into your life?
My husband used to play with Noam's father in the same band, the Pidgeon Group.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my son turned 3, and Dr. Spack said it's okay to go back to work, I started working part-time at the club as a host. And then little by
I called her the
little,
hostess with the mostest at the time.
I didn't know that. Okay, go on.
and then little by little, as needed, my job grew. Somebody died, or if somebody left, or if somebody, I got to part of their job, and that's how it just blossomed.
Somebody, I love that. Somebody died. You know, whatever you got to do to move up the ranks. And how long? Okay, how many venues were there when you were booking it? It couldn't have been all these venues at the time.
One.
Which one?
The main
McDougal Street.
comedy cellar room.
I'm
And then after Noam took over, we started spreading our wings, so to speak. Then the Village Underground and the Pussycat and Vegas, all of those venues opened.
Came after. What clubs were the clubs you guys would consider your competition in the early days? In the very early, what were the clubs that were you all compared to the most?
Noam?
In the early days, it was the Improv, Catch a Rising Star, and the comic strip. And Caroline's came a little bit after that. We were probably fifth. We were probably fifth on that totem pole for a while.
Fifth?
Yeah.
Well, but Caroline's was more a headliner club.
The original Caroline's wasn't. The original Caroline's on 10th Avenue, wherever it was also a showcase room. Then when she moved to
Broadway.
The first move? No, it was to South Street Seaport.
Oh, yeah.
That's when it became headliners. Yeah.
What were you doing before this ownership, Noam? What's your history? What's your story? How did you come upon this?
Well, I went to law school, and then after I got out of law school, I reopened the room next to the Cafe Wa, which was right next to the Comedy Cellar. So I was the owner of the Cafe Wa for like 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, and I was the band leader there for 20 years.
Oh my God, how old are you? 80? This is a lot of jobs, and you're such a young man still.
I'm 50. I'm not young. I'm not. I guess I don't know. I hope I'm not old, but I'm 58. That's kind of old.
No, that's not old to have to pack that much life and to own all that stuff, and you're still. You know what I'm most shocked about with both of you? The amount of responsibility that you guys have, and you still smile. You don't look stressed out. Like, how have you been handling like COVID? Like when you first found out COVID was going to really affect the club, like what were Noam, how did you feel it? Besides, angry and shocked and whatever, were you worried that you were going to have to close everything, or were you like, we'll just see how this plays out?
I was worried, and I mean, I was early to it. I was worried. I was saying it was going to happen before Dr. Fauci was. So, but and it's gone on longer than I thought it would. I thought we'd be reopening. What was I saying? Like September is what I was saying, right, Estee?
August
And September.
I heard that.
And we almost did open in August, and then they kicked everything down the road. And it's, but there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So, I try not to let it eat me up. I know a lot of the other comedy clubs are trying. We're doing actually a show tomorrow, but I'm not organizing that. I'm just lending our name to it to help promote it. But I know other clubs have been really trying to do Zoom shows and do outdoor shows and this and that and that. And they must be pulling their hair out trying to get that kind of stuff off the ground. But I just decided not to do that stuff because I knew it would just stress me out. Really?
You finally, all these years, and that would stress you out?
Because I don't believe in it. I don't really believe you can replace live performance on Zoom, and I just don't believe in it. And so I just, so I haven't done it.
You know what, Chris? Go ahead, Estee.
Social distancing compromise the atmosphere in the with the audience and the rapport with the comedians. You know what I mean? If you have this thing spread out like this, it just lacks something. But Noam, I heard that Vegas, the Rio, is opening December 22nd. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, we're supposed to have a conference call next week about it. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If we open, we could start losing a ton of money. I don't know. I mean, it could even put us out of business there if we open. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, because
why would it put you out of business if you follow all the protocol?
Because it costs a lot of money to fly. It'd have to be fewer comics, maybe just one comic, and maybe one comic and one local act start. But I don't know if anybody's going to come.
Is anybody going to shows out there now?
I don't know. I mean, people, we're heading towards a kind of looks like a second wave. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even count on the Rio opening, given the way the virus seems to be coming back. But presuming they do, I just don't know. I don't know.
But aren't you excited about a possible vaccine? Because I heard you said to me, I'm not coming back down there until there's a vaccine.
Yeah, I'm excited about a vaccine.
You are? I figured you'd be like, I don't believe it. I don't trust it. I'm not taking it. Not until 3 years and it's, gets tested.
Oh no, I'm not like that. I don't even use a condom, Jackie. I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna sweat.
You're gonna sweat it out, huh?
I'll just take your word for it that you don't have herpes. You think I'm worried about a vaccine that Pfizer tested?
Oh my God, you're like, I'm not that careful in my own life. Why would I care? Okay, I want to. What is it? I want to know what are you guys' pet peeves? Like, what is it about the business that bothers you overall? And then I'll trickle down from that overall. So I'll start with Estee. What bugs you about the way stand-up comedy before COVID? Did you notice a shift? Do you see things kind of changing? Did you notice anything else?
I noticed a lot of PC that we sort of had to be careful what you say, who you put in, who is. It became much more than it used to be.
Yeah.
But also, the comics became more edgy.
Got more edgy? Really?
Yeah. The comics, I mean, if you decide to talk about a certain subject that is a hot potato, we would get the consequences of it. And it's not easy because still a great comic, but how do you deal with this? We have never had any form of censorship of what we allow comics to speak about and how to approach things. We have never, not Noam or not myself or anyone associated with it. Right, Noam?
Yeah, there was one comic I told her that he couldn't tell a customer that she was a cunt and he hoped she found a lump on her arm when she went home. But
yeah, well, yeah.
No, we never. I've certainly never censored jokes. That's for sure. We have from time to time drawn lines about personal abuse of customers. We have had that problem very rarely, but we've had that, which is different from telling jokes. When
did you guys stop allowing cell phones in the showrooms? Because that is why I love it there so much. Because without that, I talk about anything.
Well, I guess it's progress, right? No, it was a necessity a little. And when they came up with it, it was great because every single comic just loved it.
I mean, to tell you the truth, so, Chappelle put that on the radar with these yonder bags, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought I should get out in front of it because I felt like, well, that's where it's going to go. And I know that Chappelle wanted it and people like Chris Rock and whatever. So, but we looked into the yonder. It's about a year and a half ago, I guess. So we looked into the yonder bags and they couldn't work for the club. So I set Liz and Tony, who were like, Liz is our manager and Tony's our head daytime guy, and to put their heads together. And I told them they had to come up with something. And they were up there and they were knocking their heads together. They couldn't be. They were talking about building lockers and all this kind of stuff, And then just then, Amazon walks through and delivers a package of one of these difficult to open, sealed, bubble wrap things. And Tony says, "Why don't we get these self-adhesive envelopes like Amazon has?" So that and turns out they're dirt cheap. They're like a half a penny each or something like that. So we said that's a great idea. So it worked. So everybody puts their phone in this Amazon bag. They seal it. We seal it. If they need to go outside and use the phone, they rip it open and we give them another bag, right? But the thing is that the room is so tight and everything that you really can't open that bag and take your phone out without everyone around you seeing you. So it works really, really well, I think. But what I forgot to say is that when I was sure that every other club in the country was going to follow our lead because it's so easy and because and not a single one has. And
LA did. LA does. The Hollywood Improv, they started to do it when I.
Are they using the Yonder bags or are they using our system?
I don't know what those bags are called, but in the Hollywood Improv, shortly before I moved back to New York, they started locking up the phones.
Oh, good for them.
In the big main show. You didn't know that? In the big main showroom.
Chappelle did it in Radio City.
Yeah, well, he does it everywhere.
Yeah.
He does it in Ohio too, I think.
What have you go ahead.
No, I said the comics really appreciate it.
I remember
we always try to protect the comics, and if we notice somebody recording or having the phone out or whatever, the waitress or the manager will go over and discourage and have them deleted. But this is beautiful.
I got thrown out of Chris Rock's movie. You remember that, SD?
Oh yes.
What?
And he tried to take a picture for me, right?
We were invited to the premiere, and SD couldn't go, and I was and SD was on the Comedy Cellar came on the screen, so I took my cell phone out to take a snapshot of the screen because I wanted to show SD because it was such a big deal to be in the movies, and two big guys came and they lifted me out of the seat and took me out. So I know how tough it is, but I didn't get to tell you my pet peeve.
Go ahead. I was about to ask you. Go ahead.
My pet peeve is that, and it started with this guy, Gary Branham, is that his name? Guy Branham.
Ah.
Guy Branham. I know a guy named Gary Bramnick. Guy Branham, who wrote that article about us being like anti-gay and anti-trans and blah, blah, blah. It was a total piece of shit article. You can check it out online. We had him on podcast and he got torn apart by all the comics. But anyway, he started some sort of reputation for us that we're like some sort of, I don't know what the word is, like, bigoted, I guess is the word, outfit, or, not diverse or whatever it is. And that really bugs me. And at the same time, it also bugs me that anybody questions our lineups, even if they're on a night when it's not diverse, because I don't want to have to put on any comics that I don't think are the best comics, like you're a Black woman.
You're right.
What would you feel like if you found out, like if you heard a tape recording of me and SD talking and you heard someone say, well, so-and-so would be better, but we need a Black woman. You better put Jackie on. Like, how would that make you feel?
Excuse me. I've been a comic 16 years.
Yeah.
But of course you're not a full-time pro the whole 16 years.
Right.
So I would say probably 5 years I was fucking around having fun in LA. And then at the 10-year mark, I took it seriously. And I have been fighting, arguing, bitching, complaining in LA about the lack of diversity on all the shows and the clubs out there. If you mention me to a booker or whatever, they're like, Jackie's always on our asses about booking women and people of color. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not the female comic who has a problem with being brought up as, and you ready for a female? That doesn't bother me. If you have 5 white guys that you need to shake it up, call me. I don't mind it. Because I'm like, I don't care how I get in. Once I get in, but I have a job to do.
Right, but that's not quite my question. I mean,
I don't care.
Yeah,
yes.
You kill, right?
I try to.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that there's something there's something that, well, you have my pet peeve. There's something that truly bothers me about the notion that I'm in business to put on the absolute best show, in the very same way that any artist, that you're in it to put on the best jokes, and a musician is a band that makes an album, puts out the best 10 songs, whatever it is that it has, right? And we all take that work product gravely seriously if we care about what we do for a living.
Yes.
And the idea that I'm supposed to bend that to someone else's demands, that I need to take, that essentially that's not, you shouldn't put the best 10 songs on the album. You need to have one of those songs for some other reason, which is, good for the earth, or you need to have one song about the environment, because we don't have enough pro-environment messages out there. So I say, well, no, and so that is, now the flip side of that is I have no defense or no quarter, and I look down my nose at anybody who would not book a diverse show because they have a problem with it. That's quite another thing. That, and I'm not defending bigotry. What I'm saying is that, well, let me put it another way. There was a website out that was a left-wing website that was counting up all the comics. You know that we have black men are more than twice as represented at the Comedy Cellar than they are in the country.
I believe that. Yeah.
So am I supposed to cut back on them?
Well, here's my honest opinion.
You get it? I mean, like we know all these black. I mean, if there's one like demographic that pretty much dominates comedy, it's black men, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great, right?
Yes. Well, my honest opinion is that I see your point, and they are valid, and I receive them, and you're right, because this is the way you feel, and you have experience to back it up. But I also feel like if a lineup is consistently disproportionate in terms of representation, at some point someone has to be like, hey, like, not every show, if you have to be like, I gotta put in a black girl, there's 5 white guys, or there's 5 black guys, I need to put in a Latino. But if there's a pattern that has been brought to your attention, or it's also your job to notice the lineup consistency or lack thereof, that there's no other way for people who are not white men to get chances if you guys don't notice that you're not booking someone besides.
Well, okay, so let me answer. So yeah. I don't think our lineups have ever been
no
extremely disproportionate. But I mean, the demographic mix of comedy has changed. There's way more black female comics now than there were in 1990 when I first was on my radar. So, and these things, and there's way fewer Jewish comics now, actually. There was a time when there was a lot of Jewish white comics, and there's fewer of them now. They're still out there, but there's fewer of them.
Yeah.
Things change. But the way I handle that is by, and Estee does really even more than I do, is by persistently asking all the comics, is there anybody out there that we haven't caught in our net? Is anybody we're missing,
That's wonderful.
And so, like, if you recommended a black female comic, of course we would put them on and we would try them out. And the thing is, and if they didn't do well, we'd all agree on it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever seen an audition or whatever it is where where there was a split. I think they killed. No, I think they died. Like it's obvious,
Yeah.
And the point is that if they do die on stage, I don't fucking want to put them on. I don't care what color they are, That's all I'm saying.
Let me give you an example of something that happened to me recently.
Jackie.
Go ahead, Estee.
I look at my availabilities. Who is available when?
Yes.
And then I have to pick 6 people. And I have 100. I'm going to pick the 6 best ones so the show is good.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm in the wrong business.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a funny show. And if I have, let's say, 3 people that are equally funny and equally reliable, then I can say, oh, okay, I haven't used this one for a while, maybe I use them. But if it's equal, if it's not, there's not a dilemma at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. And at the end of the day, the shows are better, the reputation of the club is good, people are happy, and I think the comics themselves know that the right thing is done.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't.
That
And by the way,
or they're in denial. There's some people that are in denial.
Oh yeah, that's
by the way, Jackie, I don't blink an eye the other way either. I mean, if we have like 4 or 5 black or 4 or 5 whatever, 4 or 5 women on the show, if it works out that way, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think that a lot of clubs who are right thinking in certain ways would actually, they would actually resist it in the other direction too. I went through this. I don't want to bore you, but I
I want to hear it all.
Well, I learned a lot of lessons when I owned the Cafe Wa. The first band I had was me and my friend Rosalind, who's a black woman, and our friend Jesus, who's a Puerto Rican guy, and like 4 or 5 other white people. And it was very popular. But over time, people started leaving the band, and as we would have auditions, time and time again, the best musician would be black. And so, at some point the band became half and half black and white. And I remember thinking to myself, will there reach a tipping point where the band becomes so black that people will perceive it as an ethnic, as a black show rather than just as a show? Because, that happens, right?
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of what I'm saying, but I was so dedicated to the music. I couldn't bear, I remember there was this bass player, his name was Ron Long. He and I are still friends. And he was like, he's like the best bass player in the world. He was on Prince's radar. He was great. I'm like, well, am I going to pass up the chance to have Ron Long, So I just went with it. And by the end, there were times I was the only white person in the band, or sometimes one other white person in the band. And what I discovered was it made absolutely no fucking difference. Mm-hmm. It only increased our appeal. The only thing that mattered was who we intended to be entertaining. In other words, if you could have like a black comedy night where clearly the target audience is black, the jokes are black, and that will weed out and become a black audience, like a Korean comic might, and it would all. But that wasn't what we were doing. We kept our entertainment broad, and nobody gave a shit what color anybody was.
Yeah.
I always remember that it really doesn't matter. The audience really doesn't care. The audience cares what the entertainment is geared at. So
on that point,
so we have a guy like Modi, right? Our friend Modi. So we know Modi does all these religious Jewish gigs, right? Mm-hmm. And then he also does the Comedy Cellar, and his material is different. Depends. So I'm saying if Modi does his regular material, he can do it at the Comedy Cellar. I can have 5 of them. But if I have 5 Modis doing the Orthodox Jewish, geared towards that, then of course it's going to become an Orthodox or a Jewish room. So I'm just saying, I really don't think it matters. I understand very well, and I respect, and I feel this way too, that it's necessary to police what's going on, because there's a lot of immoral people out there who will do the wrong thing. So I'm not trying to excuse that. So that's why when you said a pet peeve, it's kind of a peeve, because I bristle under it, because I know that everybody's staring and trying to catch me and whatever it is. And I know how proud I am really of how we booked the room, and how I feel that if anybody of any color, sexuality or anything, trans, whatever it is, if they could inhabit my soul or Estee's soul, they would get out and say, oh my God, that's a wonderful place. That guy, that guy does everything exactly that. If everybody were like him, we wouldn't have to worry about this stuff in the world.
Yes.
Remember when?
Now that's very self-serving, but I really feel that way. Go ahead.
Do it.
Yeah.
When our relationship started, you and I asked you to come back like 3 times. Do you remember?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. I auditioned 87 times or 3.
No, because it's got to be. I've seen what you can do and how you can do it, and still, it wasn't like the first time. I didn't think it was that great. It was good.
I was nervous. It was adequate for that, but it wasn't enough. I get it.
Yeah. But then eventually we got to the right place.
Yes.
And now if I have your values, you'll be one of the first one I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Because by now you're proven a comedy seller comic.
Yeah, oh, you made me cry.
And by the way,
Yes.
No, but
the average
you
level.
didn't understand my process then.
Yes, I understand it better now. Yes. 'Cause I know
Jackie.
I know a lot of comics after they would audition once and they would get it if they got a no. But after twice, a lot of comics, me included, they have an ego. And they're like, look, I'm not gonna, this is what I do. This is how I pay my bills. And I'm like, well, if you want to work there, you just gotta do it. If you don't care, then don't go back and audition another time.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
I had without naming names somebody else that wasn't clear, and I asked like in 3 months or so, can you come back? And the person did, and now it's also one of our comics. Some people, it takes maybe getting used to the stage, or I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you something else, Jackie.
Yes, sir.
The average, if you want to really feel good about yourself, because the average level of the Comedy Cellar comic is so high right now.
Mm.
Like to get into that room right now compared to where it was 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, there's so many people that you know their names that we can't use anymore because they're not good enough anymore. Where they used to be bread and butter acts for us, you know,
Exactly.
where just
Exactly.
it's really comedy
And
is
it's
very
competitive.
high performing right now. There's a lot of good comics out there.
There are a lot, yeah.
And they all want to work at the Cellar, you know?
Yeah.
And so our dilemma becomes, we cannot use whoever we used 10 years ago
Mhm.
because these new people are so much stronger and better. And thank God we have now 3 rooms. And right before this COVID, we were talking about opening yet another one.
Oh my God, but
No,
like a drug addict. This is every room.
Noam started negotiations already, and then the COVID happened.
Ugh.
I was so happy because I really didn't have enough spots for all the people I did want to use.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see if the vaccine comes back and if business comes back, then we'll go ahead with it again.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds, you know?
But and it's really great because I can book you at the Cellar, the Village Underground, the Fatback Pussycat, and the X, Y, and Z New Club.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and a lot of people don't need to go anywhere else because they're all in the same area.
You know what I got told a lot by comics in LA when I told them that I wasn't living back full time in New York yet. But when I go back, they give me spots when I do visit. And the guys in New York were like, you're lucky because the comics who are there all the time are very territorial because they only work there. And you're like visiting pop-in. To be a pop-in and get stage time is a privilege, better let's live there. Did you guys see the Showtime documentary? Did you watch it?
No, I haven't seen it.
About the Comedy Store? You didn't watch it?
Oh, I did.
What did you think of it?
Well, it was a lot of patting your own back, but it was fascinating. And the history of it was really fascinating. One of the shows I really liked, with little exceptions here and there, but I really liked it.
What didn't you like? What were 3 things you didn't like about it?
Oh, she said she did.
I'm not going to mention.
Oh, you didn't like?
No, there was one part that I just did not care for, but for the most part, it was a really good show, very good show.
And Noam, shame on you. Why haven't you seen it?
No, not out of spite. I just haven't been watching much TV, and the Comedy Store. I'm a big admirer of theirs, and they have a much more interesting history than we do, and
they have an amazing history.
Yeah, because they came of age at a more interesting time. A lot of wacky things going on, and just legendary things going on. So I'm sure it's great, and they deserve their legendary status.
Do you agree that the Comedy Store is considered LA's I guess, number one or top notch, and you guys are the Comedy Store of the East Coast? Because there's only two, in my opinion, that have that.
You mean that they are the Comedy Cellar of LA?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, my bad. So I live here now. See, she's like, you live here now.
Got
Get
it
it
all
right. Get it
wrong.
straight.
You got it. No, I mean, listen, you cannot deny the history of the place and the people that started there. You know, there's a lot of LA celebrities that pop in and they get on, whether deservingly or not. You know, you can argue that. But the documentary was fabulous.
What's the difference you guys think between LA? I get asked this all the time. How do you compare New York comedy to LA comedy? What are the differences?
I look, funny is funny is funny.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Yes.
because of the celebrity status of LA, sometimes they're gonna put somebody that's not a great comic, but it's, you know, and I don't blame them for that.
No.
New York, I think it's hard to say that without turning people off, but I think that New York comedy is more hard hitting and raw, and we adore when celebrities come in because the audiences love it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they get a kick out of it, but we don't have it as much as LA has it.
You know, I spent so much time as a LA comic, and I've been lying to like people about why I moved back, but the number one reason I moved back to New York is because I want to be a great comic. Like, I'm good, but I want to be great. And in LA, I was a regular everywhere but the Comedy Store, but I was repetitive. I was just coasting. I would get spots here and there, but I wasn't getting better. I wasn't testing myself. And I'm like, when I go to New York, the credits don't matter. What show I'm on almost doesn't matter, because everyone on the lineup before me at the Cellar, they're annihilating. Like the paint is coming off the walls.
Yeah.
So you're waiting your turn in the back dark corner. Like, I've changed my whole set just watching somebody in front of me.
Yeah.
In my head, because I'm like, I can't go up there with this fluffy crap, because the audience will know, the room will know, you'll know.
No, I think you agree with me. That's our pride.
Yes, I agree, and I don't know anything. I don't know anything about LA comedy. But I do want to ask a question. I'm not sure. Don't they close down the clubs earlier in LA?
Well, last call in the state of California is 2 a.m. So usually there's not a show beyond. The show will probably, the last one at the Laugh Factory is like they have late shows that might begin at midnight, but you got to be out of there by 1:30, 1:45.
No, I thought they shut down earlier. No, I really don't know anything about
Why not?
Well, Essie and I went there one time. We went to the Comedy Store. We had a good time. Remember, Essie? And it was the same weekend we had dinner with Tony Bobolinsky.
I know.
And we saw I guess it was a little laid back. I don't know. I have no.
It's a little bit more. I was there after that by myself because I was looking for local talent for Vegas.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just, in my head, I'm looking for something very specific, and the shows that I was booking in Vegas were very much like New York and not like LA.
You know what you told me, Esty, when I asked Billy Grunfest,
Yeah.
either one of you, about what you thought when you were in LA and I saw you guys in LA.
Don't say it.
No, nothing bad. You just said what you're noticing is that there aren't enough, the comics are not performing.
Yeah.
They're just kind of just going through. I think it was
Just go
Billy.
through the set.
Yeah, they're just going through it. They're not performing.
I was a little bit disappointed.
So Esty really liked the Comedy and Magic Club. What's it called?
That's it.
Yeah.
In Hermosa?
Hermosa. I really, really like that club. I like the way they book it. I found a lot of really good comics there. You were there.
That's my home club when I was in California. That was,
in my opinion, this is the closest to the comedy cellar that I can relate to.
Mhm.
And as I said, I found a ton of comics there that I really liked.
Yeah, because you can't get in that room. That room has so much history. You feel so much pressure. Almost the same pressure you feel at the cellar, but I feel like they have more of an old school vibe to them. They have a very,
The manager and the booker, both of them, they're very reminding me very much of like the way we conduct ourselves and Noam, and you know, it's a fabulous club. Not to mention that in July they have
birthday shows.
the birthday show, and I go there in one night. I get to see 20 comics on each show.
5 minutes and they got to get the hell off.
That's a perfect situation for me. I don't need to go and see Joe Rogan for 45 minutes. I know Joe Rogan, you know what I mean? That wasn't the purpose of my trip. And so this way, this was just working perfectly for me. And they were so nice to us.
Yeah, oh, they're amazing. What's the worst thing that's happened at the club that you guys can, and just in terms of, it could be something as small as the altercation during a show, or what's the worst thing that's happened thus far that you guys are like, this can't happen again ever? Noam?
Knock on wood. I guess we're lucky that I can't. The worst thing that happened was a flood years ago. Remember that, SD?
Yeah. The waitress, and that fire, the short.
A fire and
it wasn't a fire in the club. There was in the street.
Yeah.
But the flood, yeah, the wait staff was running to the Cafe Wa back and forth to serve drinks. We ran through
they had like a,
it was like
bucket brigade. But you know what? I mean, I'm not. It's one of the rare moments where I'm going to say, I'm going to be a little superstitious and not want to tempt fate and say that nothing terrible has happened, because we've been very lucky for many, many years about things, about everything.
There were different little incidents, but you just
we had like a Wild West brawl one time when Dave Chappelle had a show. Remember years ago, SD? Oh, yeah. Donald Trump Jr. got hit over the head with a bottle one time.
That's fantastic.
That was good.
No, that was another customer.
Yeah.
And Trump called Manny.
Yeah.
What?
Father, he called him the next day and says to him, "Are you gonna do anything about it?" And Manny says, "Of course I will." He says, "Oh, okay," and he hanged up, because otherwise he would have taken some kind of an action. That's one thing you've got to tell about Trump. He was a doting father.
Well, he's a thug.
That's true.
You can't mess with his family. When the controversial things that have happened, like in the last 5 years, with comedians doing whatever it is they do in their private life, and it trickles over, how do you guys handle when that becomes a problem of the club? Like, are you guys into banning comics? Are you like, no, just customers, you don't have to come back if you don't like them?
No, I did not ban anybody for that. We just handle it the best way that we could. Right, Noam?
Yeah, I mean, that whole notion that people want to, impose their will on a private business about who they should and shouldn't be presenting, that is not charged with a crime or not in jail. I mean, I hate that deeply. I think it's a terrible path for the country to go down. We have institutions, criminal justice system, where you can present evidence and punish perjury, and you can investigate people and decide what's to be done of them.
No, do you know
hold on. But a bunch of people on Twitter deciding that I shouldn't book somebody because they heard blah 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 and they read a paragraph somewhere. It's something I really have stood. I ended up becoming like a champion for this, to stand against this cause. And I took some real skin in the game for a while, but it makes my skin crawl when people try to do that kind of stuff.
So what do you do?
Noam, do you know that Jackie is a lawyer as well?
Yeah, I'd forgotten that. Yeah,
I rub it in his face every chance I get. So what do you do when you have these controversial things happening, and there are comics you love and need, or you might need, and they decide they don't want to come back to the club? Like, how do you handle that? Because does that matter to you, or do you just be like, you know what?
Of course it matters. It hasn't happened. I mean,
Well, there was a lot of talking going on about it, and a lot of understanding and explaining and working around it.
yeah, I mean, I did have some long conversations with people.
Yeah.
I did have some people who were, but you know, the thing is, like, I had there's one pretty famous comic who got some tweets, like angry tweets about him performing at the Cellar while Louis was there. And he was like, "No, I don't know. I might have to stop performing at the club." But it wasn't because he had a moral problem with performing at the club. It's because he felt like he was going to get canceled. You know, like he was. But in the end, he didn't do it. He didn't buckle. And as I assured him, it went away because, you know, Chris Brown's still on the air. Bill Clinton's still around. I mean, it's like you can pick and choose. You can find they make it up as they go along. So. I mean, if somebody, I'm not saying I would never not book somebody for reasons that offended me, because it's my home there, and I don't want to be uncomfortable, but I have never done that, and I would do it only as a last resort, and I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. I think it's a terrible idea. Michael Che, you know, God bless him. He was one of the other people. He tweeted with Louis, says Louis C.K. can work wherever he wants. He's a free man, not committed, not accused of any crime in America. You know, in America, not accused of any crime, something like that. You know, exactly how he put it.
So what if you had a pack of female comics who were like, I can't come back there as long as Louis is there? How would you handle that?
Well,
I
don't know. I mean, I might have to stand on principle because I don't know the answer. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I would never buckle. I have to make a living. I have a family, and at some point, I'd have to say uncle, right? At some point, I just have. I mean, at some point, I'd have to. But I think that I'm able to make my case effectively, and I've managed somehow to steer myself through these prickly situations without having the female comics. As a matter of fact, we had a bunch of female comics who were some of our best advocates.
That's right.
And the waitresses.
Yeah.
We had waitresses defiantly wearing Comedy Cellar t-shirts at the time when people were accosting them on the subway. How can you work there, you know?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And Judy Gold stepped up and did a podcast about it with us, and
Lynn Kaplan's did. I mean, there's quite a few comics, female comics.
And behind the scenes as well. I don't want to be people who could have been vulnerable to, much more vulnerable than actually we were to risk. Were pretty amazingly
brave.
Yeah, loyal and great about it. There was not that reaction at all.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
All right, last question, big one. Well, it's a two-parter. What do you guys look for in the comics who want to work there? What do you think? Besides, you know what's funny? Everybody's funny. Everyone is funny.
No, that's not true, Jackie.
In their own way.
Not everybody is funny.
No, she means at the club.
No, I mean in life. But when they want to take their funny and they want to work on it to be funny enough for the club, Estee, what do you look for in a comedian in your heart and mind? Like, what has to happen for them to have a chance besides they're already a working comedian?
You're talking about the newer comics?
Newer in general and new to the club. So there's two-part question. Okay. The first one.
Newer to the club, there's no question. If they're funny and they're professional, they get on and they do the job the way we want them to do it, no, there's no problem. The newer comics that don't have the experience yet or whatever, when we were doing that Comedy Central special, there was a lot of young new comics. And I don't think that they had more than, let's say, 10, 15 minutes. I start using them sparingly, giving them a chance and see how it develops. if it goes forward and develops well and they're doing good, then I'll put a little bit more gas on it, you know.
Now,
If it's not, or even a comic that I use and they go through a slower period, then just like you just go with the wave, sort of speak. You know what I mean? As I said, the main thing is to produce the best possible show. And if somebody is not yet, you know,
seasoned,
not seasoned, it's not proficient yet,
okay.
you know, or does the job that we would like them to do.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give them a shorter spot, you know, instead of the 10, 12, 15 minutes, maybe a 7, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And just let them work themselves in.
How does a comic know that they are able, besides you telling them, okay, now is it, because I've referred comics there and they've been wondering, like, I don't know if I'm passed. I'm not sure. Like, how does a comic know that they are passed?
After an audition, we exchange emails.
Yes.
And I'll give them if I think they can, I can use them right away. I'll give them the information when to put the veils and cufflinks.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I would invite them maybe in a couple of months to come back and audition again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am very understanding and very compassionate when they audition. I see people sweating and nervous and shaking. And I understand what it means to the comic because I love comedians.
Yes.
I understand that a lot of is writing on that kind of an audition.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to be compassionate about it. If somebody gets on and it's just like dead wood, forget it. I don't have the space to put somebody like that on, and it will be irresponsible on my part to book somebody. No, I was going to fire me.
Yeah.
And with a good reason.
Have you ever unpassed someone?
Huh?
Have you ever unpassed someone? Like you passed them and they thought they were in, and then you were like, I shouldn't have, or they're not ready.
Yes, because I would start using them.
Yes.
And they did not live up to what I saw in the audition. Or suddenly, you know, great audition. But then when they actually go on, they do totally different stuff. And that stuff is not working. And so I cannot come to a comic. It's not my job. And I don't want to come to a comic and say, do this, but don't do that.
Yeah.
The comic should know. If you're a professional comic, you have ears. You know what's going over or not.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot hear crickets come off and say, that was great. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Denial. So this, you're talking about pet peeves. This is one of my pet peeves. Be real. I am real with most people.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really good relationship with most of the comics. And it's because they know they don't get any
BS from you.
From me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very straightforward.
Yeah.
So that will be a scenario where I use somebody and then I use them less or not use them at all.
Okay.
If I cannot trust what they do on stage.
Yeah.
I need to know that you are an X, Y, and Z comic.
Yeah.
You get on the stage, you become an ABC comic. That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand?
Jackie.
No.
How come you don't give your opinion? What would you do if you were the owner of the comedy club? Would you throw people out if you heard something they did in their personal life?
It really depends. If I was the same woman I am now and a comic did something to women overall, I would have to listen because I am an example of who they wronged.
Right.
But
Well, no,
but if it was a business that is as thriving as yours, unless they committed an actual crime,
yeah. Well,
I understand why I wouldn't be like, well, they can't come back, because you do have to follow the law, but you also have to pay your bills.
So let me put it this way. We may disagree. So I would like to think it doesn't matter whether it's a woman or a man or a white person, a black person, that, if somebody does something, in other words, you say because you represent the person they were harmed, and I would like to think that that I would react the same way if it was somebody accused of doing something to a Jew or a woman or like,
I'm gonna be extra sensitive because I'm a girl. Like that, I can't.
No, I respect it, but I try to hold myself up to principle. But the argument I made at the time, just in case anybody, so I would say, let's say we're at the comedian table, and one of the comedians we know. I'm almost tempted to use a name because it'd be funny, but I'm not going to use a name.
Do it. Feel free. No one's watching this. No, I'm kidding. Everybody is.
And told us a story about something they did in a hotel room 20 years ago. Listen, this is what I did. You won't believe I was a schmuck 20 years ago. I was in the room late at night with these two girls, and I asked them, could I jerk off? And they didn't answer. They was kind of laughing, so I did it. And they told us the story, and he said, I was a schmuck. I did that 20 years ago. I don't think anybody on planet Earth would expect me to say to that guy, get your things and get out of here. You don't work the Comedy Cellar anymore. And this was my argument. But when it becomes public and it's on Twitter, then all of a sudden, only then, it's like, oh, now you're supposed to react to it. It didn't happen at the Comedy Cellar. It's 20 years ago. We don't even know both sides, whatever it is. The point is that we all know people in our lives who've shared with us bad things that they've done in their past. We all know them.
Yeah.
And could you imagine if those people all just starting today, everybody we know who's done something bad, but it never came out, lost their jobs?
Well,
because that's if you believe in this stuff, that's what you think. Like, we can't catch them all, but God damn it, if only we could catch all these people who have done something wrong, and we could get them all to lose their jobs. That's the kind of world we'd like to live in. That is the logical conclusion of what it is I'm fighting against, and that's why I feel that.
Yeah, and I understand. And you have the burden of being a human being, a man, and a business owner. But I relate to what you're saying. I receive it. I understand it. But I also know I'm having a hard time getting booked around the country to headline weekends.
Yeah.
Because COVID and everything. But they are open up, and they're booking men who have recently been accused of sexual assault, rape, and those guys are on the calendar.
Like who? Like who?
Brian Callen. And he's on tour doing the Funny Bone, or whatever. He's on the website. And I'm like, I was at the Funny Bone before, book me or book, so a lot of these guys don't get to feel the wrath of their behavior. And that's why I'm like, I understand Noam's point of view, but my point of view is,
well,
I don't get punished.
Jackie, I don't get it. You went to law school.
I don't care about, I do. I'm sorry.
No,
I got all emotional.
But I was asking, like,
I get that, but I'm a woman first. I'm not.
No, but I understand. But do you think that accusations are the same? Like, do you think Joe Biden? Hold on, Joe Biden was accused of saying she had a lot of people who heard the story years ago. You think Joe Biden should have been disqualified from being president?
I don't know the story of what he actually did that broke the law. If I did, I might not have.
He was accused by this woman, Tara Reid, of digitally penetrating her forcibly, and apparently there were her ex-husband said she told him about it way back. Her mother was on Larry King and mentioned something like it, and then she had two other friends who she said told her that story back then. But most people, for whatever reason, either don't believe her or think that she made it up back then, exaggerate. I don't know. But the point is that, I mean, Bill Clinton, he was definitely accused.
Yeah, the list is long. The list is very long, and I don't know the answer to that. Besides, I don't think every man should be punished if it's not proven in a court of law. But too many men don't feel any kind of wrath or get punished at all.
There's only one answer. There's only one answer that works, which is that accusations cannot be considered truth. They just can't.
No, they can't be considered truth, but it can be considered unfairly, really biased in terms of you can put him on your calendar and give him work, but people who didn't commit any kind of crime, allegedly, don't get to work, and we
Okay,
have
let's
the
get
same
so let's
job.
get really deep about this for a second.
No,
And you know the history way better than I do.
yes.
How many black people have been falsely accused of rape by white women?
Probably a lot.
I know. I'm saying. I mean, famously in history, white women will accuse black women. Imagine now that these black men, imagine now where somebody knows all I have to do is accuse somebody of this, and they're going to lose their job. Now they can't get booked. What I'm saying is that it's a very it feels satisfying to think this, but then when you really think it through, the direction that would bring us to is so terrible.
You're posing hypotheticals. I'm talking about things that have actually happened.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about things that actually happen.
Oh no, I mean they're the disproportionate allegations, whatever. I'm losing all the words that black men suffer because white women accuse them of stuff, and they lose. And you're saying the black men don't get a chance to work or lose their job or lose their freedom?
I'm saying that that's what would in history.
Mm-hmm.
It's black men have been terrible injustices have been committed against black men.
That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix now.
But going forward, could you imagine? Listen, I mean, I don't want to say we've had this stuff happen to people you and I both know.
Yes.
And I've seen one accusation just completely blow up and disappear. I've seen it. And if I had taken action based on that accusation, I would have done somebody a terrible injustice. And it's another one of those lessons. Like it would have been, and I would have never forgiven myself because it just turned out to be totally untrue.
There's no way to know though. Everything.
Yeah, that's right. There's no way to know.
It's a case by case basis. There's no universal answer, and case by case. And if you have to make some big decisions that ruin somebody's life because you thought you were doing the right thing, then you're in the right. You're not in the wrong. Oh, you're doing the best you can case by case, and that's all you can do. There's no umbrella. Like, what would you do? I'm like, well, let me hear the facts and make a decision based on that.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to think that when you think someone did do it, and this motherfucker getting away with it. I get that. That's infuriating.
Yeah,
I get that.
Absolutely. But even if they're just accused, they're still able to work and earn a living. And I'm like, guys, I mean, give him a break. He didn't even have a break from the accusations to headlining around the country again. That's what I'm saying. Like, how unfair does it need to be? But anyway, I'm sorry, Estee, do you have any closing words? I gotta close. I have another.
I can't wait to start booking you again.
Ah, don't make me cry.
And working again and open the club again.
All that stuff again.
You know what? I was doing it for 40 years now. I remember how to book a show anymore.
No, stop it, because you book how many shows a night on average if it's really busy, like 10 shows a night?
Yeah.
And you guys never seem stressed out by it. And hopefully the vaccine happens, because I heard you guys are thinking of some things in the future. I'm sure Noam, because you guys asked me about it. Hopefully that'll happen, right?
What things in the future?
All right, nothing. I gotta go. All right. I'll email you. But
I'm a married man.
That's not what I'm talking about. There's nothing to do with that.
You want to work, don't you? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, with the help, Estee gives me more spots than I can physically do. I have no more room.
I feel stupid. Message it to me later.
Okay, I will. Okay. Thank you, Estee and Noam, so much. It'll be on my YouTube and the whole world will watch it. Thank you. And see you guys soon.
Bye. Be safe. I hope the show is okay. Bye.
Yes, bye. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.